Davidson Reserve Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. Does the Lincoln County process really make better whiskey, or does it add something that just makes your whiskey a little bit off? Stay tuned to review. Welcome back to Exploring Whiskey. I'm Kevin, and today, continuing my little review of the sampler pack from Davidson Reserve and the Pennington Distillery. This is the Davidson Reserve Tennessee Straight Sour Mash Whiskey. So this is the third one we're going to be doing here. This one is 70% corn, 25% rye, 5% malted barley. So pretty high rye, a lot of corn, and all their grains are sourced from locally in Tennessee. And this one, because it is Tennessee straight whiskey, is done with the Lincoln County process, where they filter it through charcoal before they barrel it. Yeah, that's a Lincoln County process. Now the other interesting guy for this one is it is double distilled, which is a little interesting. So that's got to put it pretty close to the maximum you can do for whiskey, which is 160 proof. So it's double distilled, and then the Tennessee sugar maple charcoal is what it's run through. Minimum of 4 years and 53-gallon barrels. This one is 96 proof, so far the lowest of the ones that we've had, and $45 for the bottle. So pretty standard middle of the road price. The sour mash, what sour mash means is they actually take, so each time they mash in new grain, they take a little bit of the mash from the prior fermentation process, pull it back into the new, and it's kind of like acts as a starter for the yeast, something along those lines. But that's what sour mash is. Definitely get a little bit of the maple charcoal kind of note. That is one thing with, I think, a lot of Tennessee whiskeys. You get almost like a little bit of that charcoal wood note that doesn't quite show up in bourbons. Honestly, the nose is a little light. It's not overpowering. There's not a lot of really strong notes. It's a little bit light. Maybe after a sip, we'll see what happens. That is really sweet and really spicy all at the same time. I don't really know how to even explain that. There is definitely the higher rye, the 25% rye is coming through. It is a little bit, it's funny because the regular rye was really herbal. This has a little bit more of the pepper note, but there's a sweet corn note. Sweet corn syrup, kind of like sweet buttered corn of maybe. There's a light fruit note buried in there, but it's kind of just, it's buried in there. It's a little hard to get to. I'd also say like there's a little bit of a char note. So maybe like the top of a creme brulee, so a little bit of a custardy but charred, like that little crust part. I like the nose. The nose is pretty enjoyable. All right, on the second sip, a little bit better. It's still sweet and spicy, which I still find a little funny. There's a little bit more of a fruity note that's coming through. Can't say it's a describable fruity note, but there's a little bit more of a fruity note. There's a sweetness that's there. It's too light. I'd actually say almost raspberries, but it's not quite there. It's getting there, but it's not quite there. And there's also a little like half sweet tea, like not totally sweet tea, something along those lines. All right, let's see what water does. Give her the swirl, try to get it mixed in. Normally when you mix water into a whiskey, you probably want to wait at least a solid minute, if not a few. The nose went to it's sweet and spice. Some kind of like a spiced cookie note of some sort. Like a ginger snaps, snickerdoodle-ish maybe. Ooh, I don't like what that did to the palate. That got a little crafty. That got a little hay, a little grassy coming through. The very herbal, but not in a, it's just a really weird way. It's not the same way as like the rye had. Yet, I like that neat. Not gonna lie. I think neat was the better way to go. Oh man, that now the rye really kicked up, and it's so funny. I believe it's the say rye grain that they use for their 100% rye, but it's showing up with very different notes. A little bit more peppery. Yep. Yeah. Nope. Water did not do good things to this. I definitely think this was a better pour neat, but it's still pretty solid. It's interesting. And the sampler pack, totally worth it. No problem. No questions about that. Not sure if I would go for a bottle with this guy. Pretty interesting. And again, glad to get the sampler. Well, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed this episode, would really appreciate it if you would just hit the little thumbs down there. That helps with the algorithm, gets it all shared out to everybody who might be interested in following along as we do sampler packs and cocktails and whiskeys from all over the world. And right here, I'm going to link up the whole series for the Davidson Reserve, and hopefully you enjoyed this review with the Davidson Reserve Tennessee Straight Sour Mash Whiskey. And I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.